Hello, everybody. I'm so glad you got in here. It's great. Well, I'm Becky Fraze, and I'm one of the co-coordinator of this project with Dorothy, whom you've met. And we um, we came up with staying home as this little collaborative project because we were trying to figure out ways during COVID. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I'll, we came up with this project because we're looking for a way to keep our members engaged, obviously during COVID, the pandemic, and it looked like it was going to certainly be going on for months instead of just a few weeks. So I had started to do this, a similar project with some of my private studio students, also to keep them engaged. So we put this together and send it out there, and 36 people said they wanted to participate, which was great. And the math was great because 36 divided nicely into 6 groups of 6. And you know who you are. So we had 6 groups. And before we go too much farther, you know what I need to do is just I need to do the ground rules about how we're gonna. Some of you have been doing Zoom for a while, and some of you haven't. The way we're going to do it is that I'll put up the images by group. So we're going to go in group order, and one through 6. And when your images come up, unmute yourself. And everybody else should be on speaker view so that they'll see you up in the corner somewhere and hear you talking about your work. And then the next artist's work will come up and they'll do the same thing. And so we won't interrupt you, and we won't interrupt until the end of your group. So for example, when everybody's in group 1 has had a chance to share their images, then we'll open it up for a few minutes so that you can talk. Especially, I would suggest giving the people in that group a chance to confab a little bit. We wanted to invite a little bit of spontaneity and Q&A, but I may, as facilitator and moderator, I may say, okay, we need to move on. So, because we have 6 groups. It's your choice whether you have your video camera on during this time, or if you turn your video camera off, then your name will be up here and we'll know that you're still with us. And you can also, if you need to take a bathroom break, you just turn your video off, go do what you need to do, and come on back, and we won't even know. We're going to be recording this meeting, as Dorothy mentioned. So after it's been edited a little bit, fine-tuned, it'll be up on, I believe it's up on our website. Is that right, Mark? After? No. Yes, no.
Yes, it will be up on the website after. Yeah.
Okay.
After it's edited.
After it's edited, so it takes there's a little time lag. The other thing is, for those of you, most of you are probably familiar with the chat function. You can probably see my little arrow spinning around here. Right now I'm over Jesse. And if you go down to the bottom, on mine anyway, I have a PC and my chat button is down at the bottom. It might be that if you have a different machine or a Mac, sometimes those chat buttons are in different places. So you might want to take a second to locate your chat button. And what happens when you click on it is it gives you a little window and will tell you whether you want to send a message out, text message essentially, to everybody in a group or just an individual. And you can type that in, and Dorothy will be moderating them. She'll keep track of them, and at the end we'll open it up a little bit so that we can get all your most vital questions answered. Okay, let's see. And since we have Debbie Greenwood with us, you're here, Debbie. Debbie, our illustrious president of the Puget Sound Book Artists. You want to say a couple welcome words, Debbie?
Yeah. Well, welcome everybody. It's so great to have such a large group. It's a fun project. I wanted to just tell you a couple of things that are coming up. I'm just going to be really brief about this. There's 2 classes, if you look online, that are going to be coming up fairly soon. One is coming up October 13th and October 27th and November 10th, and that is called Book Artist Alchemy, the Art of Weaving Words and Images. This is going to be by instructor Anthea Caranasos Eubanks, and it's a free class. If you sign up for it, you have to take all 3 classes. I've taken this class through a senior center, and it was really good. I highly recommend it. The other one I want to mention to you, and you can go into the calendar and take a look at this in more depth, is What Makes a Book Work Properly. It's a hands-on case finding workshop with Gudrun. Oh boy, it's not, for some reason her name didn't print off on this. I forgot what her last name is. Gudrun. Becky, do you know Gudrun's last name? Could you say it?
Orand?
Yes, Gudrun Durand. She's going to be teaching this workshop. It's also going to be in 3 parts. October 17th, it's going to be 2 parts in the morning and then in the afternoon to give you time to work and complete your work with on the book. And then they are added another part so that people can discuss how they put it together and how it worked for them. That's going to be on October 18th. That's $50, which is a really good deal. And so I hope that you'll take a look on the calendar. One other thing is as we do these Zoom presentations, one thing that is coming up that we really need your help with is we need more facilitators and we need more hosts. The host lets people into the room, introduces the speaker, and then the facilitator, do I have it backwards?
No, that's right.
Okay, the facilitator looks at the chat. And they work out these other details if there's any technical problems. We do have a little worksheet on this. So if you're interested, we have a few members that have said they would join us and work on this little project. Please shoot me or Dorothy or both of us an email and let us know that you're interested. We really would appreciate that. Thank you, and let's see all these great images. I'm really looking forward to it. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Deborah. That was great. Yeah,
Becky, I'll interrupt a minute. In the chat, it came up, Anthea's writing class is already full, but there is a wait list, so you can sign up for that. I believe there are spaces in Gudrun's class.
Wow, great.
So, okay.
Okay, well, I don't know how much I need to tell people who weren't in the groups. Most of us here did the project and we're part of the project, so you're very familiar with the fact that everybody got instructions to make a little book that fit into a standard size mailing envelope that kept the post office solvent for another month, and mailed our books around to the other people in our group. We finished the project, started in June, right? And we finished in July, for the record. And thank you to each of you who, I was so excited that we had a lot of participants and that you seem to have enjoyed it. I did. And in hindsight, the other thing I want to say is, in hindsight, we realized that we should have suggested that everybody take a snapshot of the pages that you made, because we didn't know what we were going to do to wrap it up or bring it back together or bring it around, and here we are. So now we're doing it, and I really appreciate you sending in your photos, because it's making for I think a pretty darn good show. Okay, so be prepared when your group comes up. You know which number group you were in? Do you know? Maybe you don't. Oh, you don't know what number. Well, it's all right, because I do. And I've got you in your group order. I'm going to share my screen now. And I can tell you that the first person in the list is Lynn Olson. So group 1 will be Lynn Olson, Elsie Vasdal Ellis, Sally Alger, Mary Eckstein Gower, Belinda Hill, and Dorothy McQuistion. Okay. Let's see. So, Lynn, what were you up to?
Well, I'll say this, that after doing this, I decided that I needed to do more. And because all these ideas and things happening during COVID. So I have a gift from Sue Grun that is a blank book with 40 pages, and I can easily fill it. And so that's happening, and I'll share that with all of you when it's finished. And then just this on staying at home, I do want to show this. The cover, which probably doesn't look that interesting. You're wondering what on earth that is. In May of last year, they started rebuilding a pump station next door to us, and it was supposed to be finished a year later. And they are not finished, and this is the 17th month of it. And it's been dirt and noise and vibration, and it was so bad the other day. We had to, because of COVID, we can't go anyplace. So Gina and I just got in the car and parked on the street someplace to get away from the noise and the shaking. So this is just a view out our window of all this construction equipment, where normally you'd think, well, you look out the window, it's okay. But other than that, I'm perfectly happy with COVID, and not the virus, but the circumstances. I've stayed busy, and I love the entries. I really love this one from Eve because of the circle idea of the virus. I don't know if she did this on the rest of them, but I liked it. And the writing is just different things like patience and loneliness and her reactions. And then this was Sally Alger. It was just really, really fun to get all these. They were so different. And she did, this is Dorothy did a crossword, and I saw several of them, the way the sequence worked. And they were really, really clever. And then Marie did these little writings and a drawing about something out in her yard. And then Belinda did a really wonderful little print. And then I ended it with the second one, so that I have 2 entries in my book. And I added the stamps because I thought that was a big deal. And I also wrote up the instructions to paste into the front. Okay, I think I've done my 2 minutes.
Oh, that was great. That's great. Thank you, Lynn.
Okay.
Thanks, that was awesome. Please remember to mute yourself so the next person can have the microphone, okay? Oh, I think this is it, what you were talking about. Yeah, Elsie, hi.
So during this time, I was figuring I was going to do something that I normally didn't do. And so the very first one that I did is for mine with my paper. I pulled out some antique stencils that I had purchased several years ago in Knightstown, Indiana, and thought, this is the time to start practicing pochoir. And so for nearly all of my entries, there was at least some stenciling. The one here with the social distancing and the isolation, and that I've been repurposing scraps. They're just too pretty to throw away. And I don't really do collage. So I decided that, with the COVID virus, it's always this sphere with, the little triangles on it. And I would then pick up that theme and work through it. So there's the stencil, and it didn't have a sun or anything. So I tried to put gold leaf on it, but I wasn't very successful at it. So I just found a Japanese paper that had gold. My end sheet is tissue paper that I printed for my exchange for the Guild of Bookworkers Northwest chapter. And what it is the positive side of an embossing envelope. So I buy them and I cut them and I print them. And so everything is repurposed, and the cover for it, I took a workshop from Madeline Durham right before we went to Guatemala. And I didn't really need to make any more paste paper, but I was so thankful I took that workshop from her, because it's a wonderfully meditative way of creating these really beautiful, sensuous lines in the paper.
Oh, you know what? I actually do have another one for you,
Oh.
because and the piece that comes after it, maybe you can describe that.
So again, it's just using all these scraps. So that was the other half of the sheet
Mhm.
for the cover. And
And it went this way.
yeah, and so it's again using the circle as a theme, which I think I'm really focusing on for a lot of different things. My next letterpress project is going to be focusing on the circle and the arc. And so it's how we deal with space and boundaries. The hardest part was just writing in that arc to kind of keep the lettering consistent. But to me, it was really great to have this as a distraction. I was printing an ephemera for parenthesis 39. And I took on a project that I kept saying to myself, what was I thinking? What was I thinking? Because technically, it just required so much attention to detail that I couldn't be really efficient in printing it. So this was really a nice way to break that all up. I got the one in the mail and I would say, okay, I have an excuse not to print today. So I would work on this and get it done and then send that out. And then the next day, of course, I couldn't put it off. I had 92,000 minimum steps in that project for
Oh my gosh.
that ephemera.
Oh, wow.
So what was I thinking?
Yeah. Well, these are fabulous, Elsie. You'll be surprised, or maybe you know, Sally, I think, responded to the next page from your book.
Ah,
So Sally?
Yes, I was going along, like Lynn said, not particularly troubled by staying at home, not changed particularly, and pretty inspired and delighted by the little book I was receiving, the pages I was receiving as they made the rounds. And then the horrible incident of police kneeling on Floyd's back, and the movements and demonstrations after that, and it sort of creating a feeling of this is new, but this has come full circle. And so hence it just occurred to me, we have this violently caused, refreshed view of our country and of our world. So we are seeds, we are flames, seemed right. And it was quite a profound change from the pages I had done before, which were simply objects I had found around the neighborhood. So.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I have one more for you.
Okay. Well, that again, that's the one I did after the whole
George Floyd?
the George Floyd incident.
Uh-huh.
And the sense of brokenness was really profound in the country. The news, I was glued to the news. It was a strange feeling to go out for a walk where people that I passed at a 6-foot distance were extremely friendly and kind, people of all racial backgrounds and identities. And yet this sense from the news and from conversations with friends of brokenness and desperation. So another sort of very elemental poem occurred.
Okay. Yeah, these are great. They're thoughtful. Thank you. Thank you, Sally.
Thank you for doing this. It was interesting. It pushed me into this new place of expression visually and so on. So.
Great. So Mary, is it Mary or Mari?
Yeah, it's Mari.
Mari, okay, thank
Mari.
you. I got it.
Well, it's just been a very weird season for me with several close friends dying unexpectedly, and not from COVID, but just sort of dealing with a whole season of loss. And this was a thing where I found I was really getting a lot of nourishment from the garden.
Mhm.
And so pretty much what I did was just some very, simple little line sketches of things that I was looking at outside my garden from the front window, and just trying to have them be very get away from all of the detailed stuff that I usually get all fiddly with, and keeping things to a more positive look on things than the bleakness I was feeling around me, and the deep sense of loss of these people not being in my life anymore. And so I found it really amusing in the one on the left that my neighbor's little boy would come walking through my front garden, and every day I noticed he would throw little rocks into my bird bath. I have no idea why he was doing that, but it was kind of fun. And then sometimes I'd wave to him and he'd wave back, but that was sort of his morning routine, is to put rocks. And then when he'd get the bird bath too full, I'd go take the rocks out and he'd start putting more rocks in. With the one on the right, that's for Elsie. And I was mirroring the circle theme that she had. So I and that evening I had gone out into the yard and seen the bats come out, and it was a half moon and a really, really large orange one. So I kind of liked the idea that since she seemed to be working with a circle theme, that and the moon was out like that, that I placed that like what she had on her cover, and
great.
just sort of, I thought that was a fun thing to do. And I filed away my book, and I don't know where it is, because I'm working on 5 different projects at the same time. And
I understand that.
yeah, and I'd gone crazy looking for it, and I just decided I have enough craziness in my life that finding the book is not high on my list of things to go crazy over.
It'll show up.
It will. Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Mari, thank you. I'm going to go on to Belinda now, and maybe when the group is together, you can all.
Okay, I think I'm unmuted.
Yes, you are.
Okay. So I was working with a friend who's a poet on something we were calling response to the call for justice, and then also some of my monoprints. And I didn't think to take pictures of any of it, so someone kindly did some of the other ones.
Oh, yeah, there's another one here. So
yeah,
maybe that's what, I think the other one's your cover, right?
This is my cover.
Oh, okay.
Okay, and but the other thing, as part of this poetry thing, I had written a poem, so I put as part of the that it's response to the call for justice and the COVID, and so that's what I put in. But I mostly am doing folded things right now, so that didn't really fit in so well. So that's what I did. Some of the monoprints and the poem.
So you had this same poem that you put in each of the other books as well?
I think, and I may have used something different in a couple of them, but yeah, some poem.
Great. A beautiful paper.
Thank you.
All right, Belinda, thank you. So I'm going to ask Dorothy to pop in and share her crossword pages with us. Dorothy, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Well,
Oh, there you
actually, are you getting me?
Yeah.
Okay, they're Scrabble tiles.
Scrabble, that's right.
Scrabble, yeah, Scrabble. You don't get those numbers on
Crossword.
the
Yeah.
crossword. Well, you do get numbers on crosswords, but not like that.
No, right, you're right, you're right. It's Scrabble.
Yeah.
I
So-
should know that. I play pretty often.
I know. Actually, Becky, when we were early on talking about the book, before we even started, she was talking about how she and Greg were playing Scrabble quite a bit in the evenings. And I just talked to a lot of friends who were playing, you know, they were doing jigsaw puzzles and playing cards together and just trying to while away that time when it was still cold and wet outside and we weren't out in our gardens yet. And so I just kind of went, when I started putting these Scrabble tiles and I thought at the beginning, my very first one, let's see, I'll hold this up, we'll see if it, can you see that?
Yeah.
Okay, so that, I thought they were gonna all be kind of sweet and nice. This one, this piece of, everyone is a piece of fabric that I have in my house. So that is a napkin, kind of something that we use regularly in our house. So just things that were in the house, home.
Mm-hmm.
I think the second week, and then everything started. Actually, I think it might have started before that, but Black Lives was on my mind because it was in the news so much. Like Sally, I was reacting to what was in the news. So this was a piece of this African fabric that I have that I used as the background. So I used graphite pencil for the letters, and the background are different things, marking pens, colored pencil, watercolor pencil, that kind of thing. So I don't usually, in my artwork, I don't usually react to what's going on out in the world. So this was unusual for me to do that. I'm usually more working on something that's more of an internal thing, or it's just something that I'm interested. It's not in the news necessarily. So this was new for me. So, and I enjoyed doing this. So.
That was good timing.
Yeah.
Can you guys hear that little beeping sound? Did you hear my little beep?
No.
Okay.
Are you timing this?
I am.
Oh, good. Is that the end of our group then?
That's the end of your group.
Okay.
So I'm gonna stop my screen share for a minute. And y'all can come on and I don't know if we have, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I'll just read what was in the chat.
Okay.
From Lucia, she said, beautiful, thoughtful work, Sally. Please sign up. Oh, and then also, please sign up for the wait list for Anthea's writing workshop. So if we get enough people that want to take the class, Anthea may offer it again. So, and actually when you write a chat, we have, if you could mention, if you do have a question about someone's work, put their name in there, because by the time that we get around to this, I might not remember whose comment went with what artwork.
I got you.
So.
Sounds like quite a few times people responded to what came to them in the book.
Yeah.
So that's one of the fun things that could happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. One other comment I would make is that I found, I don't know why I didn't figure this out at the beginning, but I realized I was going to always get Sally's book and Mari was going to always get my book. So I always saw I always saw Sally's images, but I didn't always see some of the other people. I didn't see all of their images. And I mean, that was an obvious thing, but it didn't really, the project had to happen for me to get that.
Well, I guess you'd have to be here and you'd have to have your book open to be able to see them all. It's true. It was hard to figure out how to get all of that to work.
No, it was fun.
But your book is complete. You have something for
everybody,
yes.
Right? Yes. Okay.
All right. I'm going to share. Anybody else before I? Okay. So I'll share a screen for group number 2. And group number 2 has Malpina and John and Helen and Gina and Elizabeth Walsh and Kim Eisenman. Kim's not here today. She already told me she wasn't going to be with us, but I have her images in here, so I'll remind you as you come forward. Let's see. Group 2. Okay, so Malpina, are you still with us? Okay.
Can you see me or you can't see me? It's okay. You don't have to see me. You can look at my book. So I made the cover. I made the book, which was kind of like, oh my gosh, I have to make the book. And so similar reaction to other people. And so I made a house that was all kind of askew and cockeyed because that's how it felt. And I chose the red and the black, and I will, if Becky wants to go to the next page, I can explain my choices. So I integrated some handmade paper that had inclusions of newspaper clippings. I didn't make the paper, but someone very talented did. And I chose the crosses because they symbolize loss of death and the huge numbers of death that we suffered through COVID. And the hands are symbolizing reaching out for help, which we didn't get from where we thought we would receive it from. And the red symbolizes blood and life force. And the background is a monoprint symbolizing chaos because that's how it felt. And I also wanted to give Elizabeth Walsh, who's not here. Oh, okay. Well, each one of her envelopes, because she's a calligrapher extraordinaire, are works of art in themselves. And so I saved them all. And I just want to tell you that this project was so much fun, and it was great to get to know the people in my group better, to get to know John Arbuckle better, and it was just wonderful. It was the best project. Thank you very much for organizing it and for figuring out that we could just send it in one envelope with 2 stamps and to keep track of our list, and it was just great. So thank you to Becky and to Dorothy for organizing.
John is going to be next. And John has, I don't know if you want to talk about your cover first or the piece that you
okay.
put in it, but
Can you hear me?
yes.
Okay, good. So let's talk about the cover first.
Okay.
I had this paper that I don't even remember where I got it, but I think the calligraphy on it is a mixture of different Asian writings. I think there's some Korean and Japanese and so forth. And so one day I got an email from Malpina, and I think she was a little upset because she had received my book, and there was it looked like either a tea or coffee stain on it. And I just told her, I said, don't worry about that. And then when I got it, I just thought that added to it. So however that happened, I'm appreciative. So thank you, whatever happened. Little accidents happen, you know, happy accidents, and I like it. You can see it right there. So if you go to the next one, next slide. So this last spring, I was rather ill, and every day I had to take up to 3 baths. And above the bathtub, we have 2 woodblock prints of Japanese geishas. So, you know, when you're laying in the water, hot water, and you're kind of looking up, and I'm thinking, oh, every day I get to bathe with the geishas. So I, when it came time to do the pieces for putting them in these books that came every couple of weeks, I decided to do a series called Bathing with the Geishas. And I did all 6 of the collages that I did, one right after the other. I didn't wait for the books to come. And I had to do a lot of work during those few months I was in bed. I had to do my collage work on a clipboard. That's the only space I had, and I was flat on my back. So all of these collages that I did were done while I was ill, and gluing was a pain in the neck. So I decided that I would do the collages with 1 or 2 staples. So if you look, I don't know, you can't see it here probably very well. I think it's right in the T of Texaco, the big green T.
Oh yeah, I can see it.
Yeah. Anyway, so all 6 collages are done on playing cards, and then there's some sort of Asian woman, and then something else involved for modesty. And then, so that's what I did on all of them.
Those are great. Ooh, I'd like to see all of them. Maybe we can later. Did you keep photos of them all?
Well, I have a blog, and so they've all appeared on my blog.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Great. Thank you, John.
Sure.
That's great. Helen Edwards, is she with us today? Dorothy, do you know if Helen is here?
Is Helen not here?
I don't see her
Okay, because
name.
I am very curious about something. The one on the right is the one that's in my book.
Oh, okay.
And she typed all of the poem that's there. And I'm dying to know if she had to unbind all the books to do the typing, or how she went about putting in the typing. So,
I asked her, I know her secret.
okay, what is the secret?
Her secret is she has these stamps that are typewriter size and typewriter font.
Oh.
I thought she undid the books too and put them through the typewriter. I thought that the same with Kim Eisenman, who also sewed on our books. And I thought, did they unbind these? Because I was like trying to figure out how they did it. And so I asked her, and she said that she has these fonts that these stamps that she uses. But at first I thought she put it through the typewriter.
Well, she's really good at it. Thank you, Malpina, for finding that out.
You're welcome.
It's really fun, yeah. I thought about that too, but then I saw that they were so uneven. I thought she must have done something else. I don't know. Yeah. Well, okay. So Helen's not here, so I'm going to move forward to Gina. Gina, are you there?
I am. Hi.
Oh, hi. Oh, I'm so glad you're here.
I'm here. So I did the same image for all 6 books.
Mhm.
And when I figured out what I wanted to do, I made them all at the same time because I thought I would forget between books. And because I wanted to use my typewriter, we were just talking about typewriters, I wanted to use my typewriter to type my text, my poem, which is on the next page. This is my front cover that you're showing.
So, okay.
Yeah, that's the image everybody got. I typed it on a separate sheet of paper and I taped it into the books so I could do that. And I used mica for the moons, and I taped it down. I was sort of hoping that when it was in the mail that it might get a little crushed or something, but nothing seems to have happened to any of the mica. But I was sort of hoping that maybe the mail would have some impact on the image that I used. But my inspiration, I haven't been dealing very well with the emotional side of COVID-19. And so I've been looking for anchors in life, things that have remained the same. And the moon for me is something that is cyclical, but it's also influential on the earth in terms of tides. And I wanted something that would sort of anchor us to the world and to, a sort of larger way of thinking about, this moment being small in comparison to geological time or something like the moon. So anyway, I had written this poem, the haiku, a while ago, but it seemed to fit with how I was feeling at the time. So that's my
perfect.
page.
Wow. Yeah. So it did successfully get through the mail with those little bits of mica that.
Well, that whole the gibbous part of the moon, that whole piece is a small piece of mica that I cut with a die cutter on my die cutting machine.
I see.
And then it's taped. There's a larger circle of tape that's covering up that and the black, crescent.
Got it.
is the dark side of the moon.
Maybe
But I thought maybe it would get a little mangled in the mail, but
that looks good. Looks good. Thank you. Thanks so much.
And thank you. I enjoyed the project a lot.
Good. I'm glad. It's good. It was fun to me.
Yes.
So Elizabeth Walsh isn't here, but I'm going to put up a couple of her images, and then I'll also put up Kim's. So Elizabeth Walsh did 2 pages. You know, she does this amazing calligraphy. And I'm not sure about the left-hand side. Malpina, maybe you know more about.
I can't see it, unfortunately.
Oh, you're not seeing the images?
I'm not seeing any of the images. It's,
Oh my gosh.
it's stuck on where my book was.
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know how.
Should I go out and come back in, or?
Yes.
Oh, that's a good idea. We all know that Elizabeth does this lovely, lovely calligraphy and spends a lot of time. And now I was interested to see the moon imagery again. There's lots of I was working with the moon too, and others who worked with the moon as an image in these books.
Actually, I know about this page.
You do? Great.
Yeah, she wrote me a note about this because I put that, she was the person that I was always mailing to.
Oh, nice.
And I have these moon stickers, and I was putting them on the back of my envelopes every time. And she used the moon sticker that I had sent her for this page. It's not in my book. It's in somebody else's book.
Uh-huh. Oh, fun. See, that's how it, I love that.
Yeah. And then, is it her? Oh no, it's Kim did my last page. And she did a very different page for me than she did for everybody else because the comet was happening when she did my page. And so she gave me a painting of the comet, which was very different than what she had done.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Well,
So
this
she
is
was
one
not-
of Kim's, yeah.
So she was not only responding to the COVID, you know, the sort of general topic, but every time she sent an image, she was sort of responding to what was going on in her life.
In the world, yeah. And this one, she says she completed her 70th orbit around the sun, so obviously her birthday, and she was celebrating alone. So, wow. These are beautiful. And that was her cover, was a piece of paste paper. Did we get any questions or comments in the chat?
We did. Let's
Okay.
see. Let me go back here. Oh, I wanted to know how John stitched the book, but I'm gonna go through these first. Yeah. Okay, John, do you want to do it? You're on there.
Okay. I don't think you'll see this very well, but it's like an anchor stitch rather than a pamphlet stitch.
Oh, it's pretty.
Yeah, it is.
Well, do you think another time you could teach us that?
Oh, it's really fun.
Well, there's an idea, right?
It's in Keith Smith's book, in one of his books, and it was pretty easy to learn.
Okay, well, that's good. That's good news for me.
All right. Do you want me to read through the chat?
Sure.
Okay, Malpina, I love the red around the hands. It's a life force. That's from Lucia. Pat Chupa thought your work was totally inspired, John. Gina said, John, I love the background of your work. Yes, okay. Yeah, Jade also suggests leaving the meeting and coming back in. Okay, there's questions about putting the slideshow up on the website. So I think that is going to, Mark says he can do that.
Great, I'll send it to him.
Yeah, and that might be an easier way for people to see the work. Although listening to people talk about the work, I think is really great.
That would be the video advantage for sure.
Okay.
So we'll move forward with group 3. Right. Oh, Jan Ward. I don't know if is Jan here? And Bonnie Julian, Pat Chupa, and Abby Birmingham. So group 3, Jody and Mary didn't send me any images, so I didn't want to leave them out completely, but yeah. So Jan,
yeah,
Jan,
hi.
Oh, she's here! Yay!
Yay, I am here.
Yay, great.
You know, when this project started, I just felt super proud that we had already made it to June. And, you know, And so I looked back over those months since March and decided it was the garden and nature, the bunnies, and looking down towards the end of our property near the road, and I had my peace flags down there. I had made 87 of them November, December of last year. And so I hadn't been flying all of them, but I sacrificed this one to put down by the road and make a statement. And so those were the things that were on my mind. And this was tissue paper, painted tissue paper over copy paper. And so it has a funny little texture because I used rice paste. And frankly, I didn't look ahead and see what my other images were, but mostly I had my first one. You probably can't see me up here, but this was my first one.
Oh, I have this one. Yeah.
Yeah,
You
in the
sent me this
beginning.
one.
She and I just stayed home. And so it was the creatures that kind of helped me. And up until recently, we had bunnies in the yard all the time. And so they'd watch me and entertain me. And lately they've been gone. And I complained about that to my husband. And I says, the bunnies are gone. And he goes, no, they aren't. Come into the bathroom. There's one in there. And sure enough, behind the toilet, there was this huge monster because of a dust bunny. Because at the end of July, when the project was done, my mother-in-law fell, and so so it's been my life has been upended. So I've had this saying of, can it get any worse? And yeah, it can get worse. And so one thing after another during this pandemic, in addition to all the things that are happening outside of the house, there's all these internal things that are happening. And so my muse took a vacation. And so this may be the last tribute of my artistic career right here in front of you.
I doubt it.
And so I'm hoping not, but
I doubt it. Oh.
I'm just such an emotional being that I'm afraid it is. So
well, blessings.
We're still trying to cope, you know.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing today. It was great. Yeah. It's good to see you. So I'm going to pass this on to Bonnie.
All right, Bonnie had to leave the meeting.
Oh, bummer.
Yeah.
Is she coming back?
No.
No. Okay. Well, Bonnie was part of this group, and looks like she actually was sheltering in place near a pleasant place of water in Oyster Bay. Maybe she's from Bremerton. That might be. Anyway.
Yeah, she wrote a note in the chat.
Okay.
She just she'd love to see the slideshow after, but my entry is a photograph, so it is pretty self-explanatory. And she thanks us for arranging the project. So.
Okay, great. Yeah. So Pat, maybe you'd like to chime in here at this point.
Yes, thank you. I forgot to send you the picture of the cover of the book that I made.
Oh,
but
what was? No, this was inside. Okay.
No, that was inside. But I can actually hold that up if. So the paper that I used is paper by Karen Perrine that just said COVID to me for some reason.
Oh yeah.
It's just, that whole like molecular level writ large. And the outside is I made an opening. So the window is cut open. So it peeks inside the book just a little bit to the first page, which is the first page that you see on the screen.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll see also the compass at the top, which is sort of implies traveling, which we can't do. And then there's the COVID molecule floating outside the window and sort of looming outside our houses. So that was my image there. This page is a clear acrylic overlay. So the writing and the drawing of me are on an clear acrylic overlay. And it says molecular gardening in 2020 at Plum Tree End. And then there's a checklist of the things I have to have in order to garden. I have to have a hat, goggles, mask, gloves, and long sleeves. And so there's a picture of me, womanfully trying to garden during COVID. And the image behind the overlay is molecular structures, molecular molecules of viruses, different kinds of viruses, from an electron microscope. So they're very big and very fascinating shapes, interesting to me. I think they're really, really beautiful in a way. And then behind that, you can see some writing, and that's just a little journal entry that I scribbled in. And I'm going to read that so that you can know what it says. It says, staying home 2020. My garden, Plum Tree End, in the time of COVID-19, an entirely new molecular perspective. Who would have thought I'd be making this uneasy peace with bacterial, viral, and pollen molecules? I've never felt more embedded in the earth, no longer even the illusion of being separate or alone.
Wow.
And part of that is because of COVID, but also because I've had severe allergies over the last couple of years. And I found out that I'm allergic to practically everything that grows in the Pacific Northwest. So gardening became a real, I was really afraid that I was going to lose that as a comfort zone. And so this year has been a real tentative, can I do this now that I've been, I've got the right medications and everything. So this year was like a test to see if I could garden without getting impacted by it. And I was able to do that, but I was so conscious of being uncomfortable in my garden for the first time. So it was like layers of difficulty. And so I thought, I've got to address that. So that's what caused this page to come out.
Yeah.
So this is the next one. And I did a different image for each book because I wanted the art to come up out of whatever I was experiencing when that book arrived. So everything is different. This is the background of this is virus vectors that I found online. And it's the molecular mathematical, view of molecular trajectories. So I thought that was really interesting pattern. So I used that as the background. The figure on the left-hand side is a statue on the Vauxhall Bridge over the Thames River. And it's the statue representing the arts. And the spiral coming out of the back of that figure is a clock that's being spirally unwound. And so that image brought to me the poem. And I'm going to read it just right quick for you. So this is the poem that welled up out of this artwork. Art shelters in place, 2020. Time unravels in this fixed abode. The muse muses, silent. No clock alarms sound, only the measured cadence of talk, tick-tock, tick-tock. The hours have gone to ground. Then a dawning susurrus, consciousness unbound, rising, falling, rising, in a long, slow murmuration of never-ending rhyme. Time has turned inward. I watch, I listen, hoping for understanding's sign. I make my art tentatively, as if I were blind. Wisdom will take longer, assuming there is time.
That's wonderful. I'm glad I have a picture of it now so I can go back and read it again.
Yeah. So that was my, because I was having trouble with my artwork too. I was having a very difficult time.
Well, I'm glad you persisted. Thank you, Pat, so much.
Thank you.
Abby is next on our group list, so I hope she's there. Is Abby there? Thank you, Pat.
Yep.
I am here.
Oh, yay. Great. Hi.
Hi. So this is a collage, a picture collage, so it might be a little hard to figure out, but I love the project. I loved sharing the work with everybody. And during this COVID period, I have been experimenting and learning a lot of new things, including watercolor, which was what I did for one of my books. And then I've learned some pop-up, and I've actually made a whole book of pop-up. And so I used this project as an opportunity to experiment some more with pop-up, and I had a lot of fun with it. The left portion of the slide is the this is a single page. Again, I apologize, it's probably hard to figure out, but so if you think about the book open, my page is the right hand page of the book as if it's open. So the red and yellow is a cover, is the cover of what is a house and a house shape, and then it's the flower is a spray paint on yellow paper, and then the top right hand slide is the book open, and on the left is a screen print of a street grid, and on the right hand side is another pop-up, and obviously it says home.
Yeah.
And then the bottom one is the pop-up open. So the home is now open, and it's you're looking at the interior of that little pop-up, and it's again spray painted.
I've got, yeah. Oh,
this
excuse
time
me, I'm
blue.
sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt.
That's okay.
No, I have another bunch of your pages, I think, here.
Oh,
right?
yeah. Okay. So this is, sorry, I didn't realize I sent you this. So this was this is the book that I initiated, and the top left is the cover, and it's I've thought a lot about home over the years, and I've made some work, and I'm a printmaker primarily, and so that is screen print, words that speak to me about home, on top of just some colored paper that I made. And then the middle slide on the left is the interior cover, again, some printmaking. And then the lower left is the interior cover on the back. It's kind of hard to see. And then on the right is as I mentioned, I was learning some watercolor as well. So I was playing around with that. And I was thinking about how Zoom has, of course, opened all of our windows virtually to the world. And that's how we're looking at the world. So the Zoom image is in the middle of a window.
Cool.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. These
So
are awesome, Abby.
That's that.
Yeah, so many materials too. It's great. Thank you. We'll see if there's any questions or comments for the group 3 folks. That was Jan Ward and Pat and Abby were with us today. Yeah.
Lucia says, such meaningful work, Pat. And Gina Pacello, very thoughtful work, Pat.
Mm-hmm.
And Jade said, loved the last 2 lines, Pat, very poignant. And for me, I'm just always amazed with anybody who can both do artwork
and write poetry.
And write.
Right.
That's not me. All right. And let's see, Lucia, beautiful design, Abby. Love the window, Abby.
I was just going to share Mary's projects, and she cut out little words that were meaningful to her when the book arrived for her to fill out. And so the one in my book is called Craving Connection in Isolation, Solace, Comfort, Dreaming of What Was, and Joy, Healing, Seek Comfort, Whenever, Wherever, What Could Be Again, Each Other, It's All We Got. And so she did this little kind of a scribble on a background, and then she would, let's see.
It's good. We can see it a little bit.
She'd add her little words, and then sometimes an image. And so she had little images of cats and various things. And so she did a collage. And so it was always interesting to see what she did. I did take pictures of the books as they went through my hands. And so some have more detail than others. And so that was fun. So I could remember.
Nice.
Of course, I didn't refer to them before I talked to you, but that's okay.
It's all right. It's all right. Good. Anything else, Dorothy? Okay, I'm gonna move on to group 4. Group 4 has Nancy. Do you pronounce your name Sedlacek?
Yes, that's perfect.
Okay, group 4. So we're gonna have Nancy and then Kelda. Debbie Commodore is not with us today, but I have a couple of her images. Kelly Blasco, Celine Fisher, and Rachel Watson. I'm not sure. I'm not sure yet how many of you are here, but this is what we're going to look at for group 4. And we have Nancy with us right now. And two of these great images right here that you sent.
Okay, so I had a lot of things. First of all, I had a goal this year. I've been making books for a little while, but they're always empty. So one of my goals is to include content, and this project really helped me get started. Now I have exploded with ideas, especially after now, even more after watching this. So that was fun to get that inspiration. But I chose kind of obviously a older looking images and that back in time, because for me, both the COVID and unfortunately even the Black Lives Matter issues are not really new. They've all been around for way too long. And will, in various places and ways, will probably continue to be around. So it was kind of a timelessness I wanted to have, but I also wanted something really positive. So I tried to always have a quote that was positive, and then maybe a thought or a question to get people, to get myself or someone else thinking about, you know, it's life may not be the party we hoped for, but while we're here, we should dance, even if we dance alone. And I was fascinated, thank you, Sharon. I was fascinated by that pocket. I'd had it around. I acquired it at some point, and so I figured out how to make that. So of course I had to make all 6 and keep making them. And one of my other goals was to make it interactive. So you can take the little people out and the bookmark out and use it as a bookmark if you want. It was fun to make something that people could fiddle with if they wanted. I'm a fiddler myself, so. And the positive part was to realize for myself, if nothing else, that there's still a lot of positive in the world. It's still a pretty amazing thing to be alive. Sometimes difficult, but I find it still amazing and try to look forward. The other thing just about the project in general, I'm newly retired. In fact, it was odd. I retired working from home the last bit, and after 40 years in the workforce, that's kind of an odd way to stop. And so I have so appreciated the sense of connection in this project. It meant a lot to me because it started, I retired May 1st, so it started right after. And I just so appreciated everything everybody did and that it was organized. And I'm also new to this group, and it helped me feel connected, even though I've never attended a live meeting. So, and I was so inspired by this whole thing that I am doing some similar types of project. I've long been a member for 35 years of the Olympia Weavers Guild. I'm a longtime weaver and spinner. So, so I'm using what I learned here to help get them interacting and through
That's
this.
awesome.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Thanks for sharing. So great. Kelda, you know what? I have to say something. I got confused about who was sending. I got a couple of things at once that kind of overlapped, and I'm not sure whose image this is. Does anybody know from the group 4 people?
It says Selena Fisher on it.
Actually,
Yeah.
Selena's is on the other side of that
Yeah,
page.
I think Celine's is on the other side. So is this Kelda's? Does anybody know this image?
I am guessing it's Kelda's. She's not here, I don't think.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead. This was Kelda's too. We when we weren't getting some images from some people, I didn't want to leave too many people out, so we asked others to show us what they had in their book.
And Kelda did the same image every time, so.
Oh, okay. Okay, so then Debbie Commodore is not with us today, but she did little drawings. She told me that she also made a book. She had photographed each of the pieces that she did herself, each of the pages, and then she printed them out and made a new book with just her images in it as well. So she had a good time with that. Here's another one. So then Debbie, is Kelly with us? Kelly Blasco. I think this is her image on the right.
I don't think so, but Kelly, if you're here, speak up.
No? Okay. And this one as well is Kelly's. So we're going to go on with Celine. Is Celine here? Well, Celine doesn't seem, I think this is Celine's as well. That one didn't have a name on it.
I don't think she's here.
Celine also did the same thing on each of hers, so I'm not sure whose this was, but it's
Oh,
great.
okay. I'm not sure either. And then Rachel Watson, she said she's had a really crazy busy year, but she finally, she did these wonderful little paintings. I think maybe everybody got a different one. I'm not sure. Yeah? Cool. Nancy, it looks like, Nancy, are you the only one in your group who's here today?
I fear so.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm glad you had other photos.
Yeah, well, I'm going to go ahead and go on to group. Oh, wait, wait. No, that's not fair.
That is just fine. I read the chat, so I don't.
Did you
feel
read the
bad.
chats? Okay,
Yeah,
perfect.
and thank you.
All right. So Rochelle, I think you go by Roe. I thought I saw Rochelle earlier. I hope she's still here. Then Deborah Greenwood, Judy Cook, Sharon McGill, Ann Story, and Jesse Wing. So this is group 5. And Roe, are you still here?
She had to leave.
Oh, bummer.
Yeah.
But she had these really lively statements, and you can see what she's thinking about. It looks like she did a different text for each book. Maybe that's true. I'm going to go on. Deborah, are you still with us? Debbie Greenwood?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm sorry, my thing wouldn't unmute.
Oh, sorry.
This is my second image.
Okay, I'm sorry. I got them in the wrong order.
Okay, that's all right.
There you go.
Okay, this was my first image,
Mm-hmm.
and I thought that it was very stiff, and but I was thinking about all the ways that people shelter, and of course, you know, there's a lot of other ways. A sleeping bag, you know, in the street, in a doorway. There's lots of ways, but I tried to find a lot of images of different ways of sheltering. And so I wasn't really that pleased with, this was my first one, that I wasn't really able to be that open. So I decided to do where I would draw a circle and do a mandala. And that's my second one for every other book that came.
Oh,
and,
okay.
And I would just let whatever happen sort of happen within, you know, some of them I actually almost completely painted over, and then it would be like the same doggone image would come back. So it was kind of surprising. And I was kind of, initially when I started doing this one, I thought, wow, this is very threatening. But you know, the more that I look at it, it's kind of interesting. You know, when I was a kid, we used to read these stories, you know, adventure stories or underwater stories, and there would be the prize, the treasure, and there would always be something that looked like it couldn't be overcome, sitting on top of it, or that you would have to go through to get to it. And so some of the mandalas were, gosh, they were very odd. And what was weird to me is that typically, you know, you would just do the circular part. But I think that maybe it's in some way, I was just trying to find context for the situation that we're in. So I just kind of let my unconscious do the work. And I worked with color pencils and watercolor and oil crayons.
Cool. Thank you, Debbie. I'm going to move on to Judy if she's with us. Judy Cook, are you here?
Yes.
Oh, yay. Hi.
Hi.
Good to
So,
see you.
This was my cover, and I don't know how well you can see it,
Oh,
but
we can see it. Yeah.
okay, so
At
it's
the house.
yeah, it's the house. It's some paper I marbled a while back, and I just thought, okay, so stay at home. We need a house. So the first one is I was so most of the things I did was what I was thinking about or what I was doing that week, when whatever. And so I was playing around doing jelly prints on deli paper. And so this is a collage of one of my jelly prints, and my hardy geraniums had just started blooming. So that's the one on the left. And that was fun because I've done a whole bunch of jelly prints on deli paper and never really did anything with them. So, and then the one on the right, I can't believe that in my whole life I have never seen a solar halo before, but I hadn't. And the reason that I did see it was because I've been doing a Zoom yoga class and I was doing it outside. So I spent more time this summer looking at the sky than I have since I've been a little kid. So yeah, I was just amazed. I saw another one too. But,
Wow.
so.
Well, I hope you'll see more. I don't know if I've ever seen one either. Really. Well, these are awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm gonna go on to Sharon McGill if she's here, and then we'll come back to your group in a second. Is Sharon with us? Do you know, Dorothy?
I don't think so.
It says here she lives in Olga, Washington, so maybe, oops, stop. Okay. Well, how about Anne Story? Is Anne with us?
Anne is not here.
No, I'm here.
Oh, you are?
I'm here. Yeah.
Oh, hi. Yay.
Oh, that's why. You've got this weird name.
I know. I don't know how to change it. That's the beginning of my email, and that's what Zoom has. And so nobody knows that it's me. Incognito.
For Anne, for the future, you can rename yourself.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. There's
I'll have to
little dots next to your name. One of those is rename yourself. Yeah.
Yeah. So for my project, I am a passionate gardener. And so I thought I'll do some botanical contact printing from the plants in my garden. And then I thought, well, maybe I'll use them a little differently by weaving them together. And so that's what I did for all of my pages. They were all different, but all botanical contact prints. And then, because weaving is shelter for me, and so that was a good symbol. And then I wanted to make it interactive, so I was reading a lot of poetry, and I found some poems that seemed hopeful. And so I printed them out and hid them behind some of the panels. So I used Mary Oliver and Emily Dickinson and different poems each week.
Oh, wonderful. Is that what the strings are?
Right.
Oh, nice. Well, we have another weaver. Nancy's a weaver too. Beautiful. Super. Thanks for being here and thanks for sharing these. They're gorgeous. Who else? I think Jessie Wing. Is Jessie able to share with us?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
Yes. Yay. Hi, Jessie.
Hi.
We're wondering where you
Okay.
are quarantining or sheltering. Where are you quarantining?
Well, I'm still in lockdown, and I'm actually in Hawaii right now. We're on lockdown for another week or something.
Oh my gosh.
So it's not as exotic as it seems. There's
Yeah.
been building construction here, and it's just gone on forever. So I understand all the noise and stuff. But anyway, thanks for including these. I also use Scrabble, and that was the staying home. And you're right, they don't have numbers, so I wrote in the 2020. And I think that was copy paper. It was I think my printer was running out of ink, and the only thing that would come out was pink. So that's what you got. So.
It's awesome.
And the
I
paper that I used,
Mm-hmm.
the paper that I used on the outside, I was using parchment paper from the kitchen because everybody was baking, right? So I made a little jacket on the outside of parchment paper.
Oh, you got it. Yeah, you also sent us a picture of kind of a little pop-out thing. This is fun.
Yes. Okay, so here we go. So the one on the left, let's see. So I actually coordinate a haiku contest for the CDC because I was there for 30 years. I retired from CDC recently. And so this is one of the haiku I submitted for the 2020 collection of haiku. And what this is that I was trying to talk about the change from winter into spring. So this is, and I also like pop-ups, so I tried that as well. So my haiku here is Corona, this is winter, Corona hostage, long winter isolation. And that was in, I think, watercolor and gray. And then as spring comes along, we were all trying to make sourdough bread. And so I made a sourdough starter in Hawaii. And this was my Leilani starter that I made from the pineapple that we had at Easter. So that's part of the bread and the flowers and spring treats. And if actually that is 17 syllables, which is a traditional haiku. So that does fit. And if you look at the right picture there, if you open that flap, then the bread will rise, and that's my sourdough bread, and that red flower will pop, which is it'll unfurl, which is where the hummingbirds want to go. And I finally had time to work in the garden and finally put up bird feeders, and hummingbirds were coming, and bread was baking, and we all, of course, gained 15 pounds from all the bread that we baked. But I think that was about it. Anyway.
These are wonderful. Thank you so much for being with us from so far away. It was great.
Well, it's kind of nice, and thank you for putting this together. This was a nice diversion.
Oh, great.
Very healthy.
That was group 5. Do we have any questions or comments for group 5 that you guys might want to respond to?
Well, people are, wow, the sun bows are rare. That's jade. And I don't think I've ever seen one.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Sharon also said she loves that you spent more time looking at the sky. That's to Judy. Abby has to leave. Thank you. Nancy said, as a weaver, I particularly love your pages, Anne. Awesome interaction. And Gina, Anne, so many great ideas here. Sharon, also very clever with the pull-out poems. Yeah, I think everybody's liking the interactive pages, the little pocket
that was fun.
Envelope we saw. I think were those Nancy's, yeah. And Pat also loved the surprise poems, the hidden poems. Everybody loves the hidden poems. Okay, more hidden poems.
Well, maybe that's going to be the theme for next year, hidden poems.
Hidden poems.
Well,
yeah.
we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah.
All
Okay.
right. And group 6 is Jan Dove, Lucia Harrison, Bonnie Thompson Norman. I don't think Bonnie's with us today. Sharon Steyer, Jean Wyatt, and myself. And so we're going to start with Jan. Are you here, Jan?
I don't believe Jan is here.
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, she is here.
Yes.
I'm sorry, Jan.
Yay.
Hi.
Hi.
This project for me was kind of a compensatory project where it seemed like the world shut down so small and I had to get it big again, find a big space. So these are linoleum prints, and they're about the being out in the big universe, you know, where stars and molecules work. And so that it helped me to keep kind of a little bit of balance and to keep my, to keep working, to keep making things. And I appreciate having the project to work on.
Great. Well, I loved these. Now I have one. Okay, I'm going to show you the next one. Thank you. Thank you, Jan. I'm glad you could be part of the project.
Thank you for the project.
It was great fun. Lucia.
I'm here.
Oh, yay. Hi.
Hi.
Good to see you.
So I followed Jan, so she would send me her just totally amazing lino cuts.
Yeah.
So inspiring. For me, I was working on a project about native plants and how they change during the seasons. So my entries were all about how even though the world is in chaos around us, these hardy little plants keep on flowering, making berries, feeding the animals, etc. So the center section is the drawing of the plant, and the outer section is the tries to represent the chaos. My first one, which isn't here, it started with the background was just all tears because I was watching what was happening in New York City, especially, and so many people were dying. It was so awful. And then when George Floyd was killed and Breonna Taylor, we heard more about her, then my whole exterior world just kind of fell apart. So that's what I'm trying to represent on the outsides. And the borders between the plant and the outside started going away as the drawings progressed.
Wow.
So the drawing on the left is vine maple flowering, and the one on the right is Salon making berries.
Wow, these are awesome, Lucia. And I have one in my book. Yeah, I have one of these. It's actually a little lighter now, I see, but okay. Thanks, Lucia. I'm going to move on to, well, I'm going to show you Bonnie's. Bonnie Thompson Norman isn't with us, I believe. And I did ask her to share with us something. So she wrote me a little email. She said, I was caught up in watching, listening, and obsessing about the news and current events and all the disturbing things that were happening and have continued to happen. I had an extra copy of a book called A Woman of Independent Means by Elizabeth Forsyth Haley. I was finding lots of things in there to cut and paste as a starting point. Much of the action of the book takes place in the first half of the 20th century. The main character was very interested in all the events of the day and writes about them with all of her correspondence. Trying to keep hope alive in my little corner of the world. Bonnie. So, yeah, she did a different one for, oops, that was the first one. So piecing text together. I'm going to move on to Sharon then, because I believe Sharon, I hope Sharon's still with us.
Yep, I'm here.
Hi, Sharon.
Hey, Becky.
Good to see you.
Nice to be seen.
Yeah. So I think this was your cover, right?
This is my cover. Yep. This is the first book I made on my own. I've only taken classes, so I hadn't done one. So I just went very Jane Austen, very classic. So I just found this really classic old binding looking paper. And then I had been to Kensington Palace a few years ago and I had a postcard from it. So I went, yes, of course, we're going Jane Austen here. So that's my cover.
All right. And this one.
And then, I made individual collages for each of the pages. So just whatever I was kind of playing around with. I had been of course, when COVID hit, it just hit my creativity. And so I found myself making smaller. I was making postcard, just 4x6 pieces and just sending them out and reaching out to people. So I've begun, you know, pen pals. I've got a couple pen pals now, and I've just sent cards to everybody. So this kind of fit in to just carry this on. So I made a different collage for every book and tried to follow people's patterns, what they had. That was kind of fun to see what people were presenting and people would represent. And this funny dog image ended up in a lot of my collages or pages that I got back from other people. People were putting dogs in it. It was really, so it was really cute. I don't have a dog, but it was really cute.
Yeah. Well, these are always amazing. And I always love seeing what Sharon writes about her pieces or titles that you give them too. And I didn't have a title on this one, but they're always very clever.
Thank you.
Very, very clever. Thank you. All right. I know we're going to run out of time really soon, but Jean Wyatt is next. And I have two of her images up here on the screen, I think. Yeah. Is Jean still with us?
She had to leave early.
Oh, bummer.
Yeah.
Well, she did. I think she did something different each time. She sent her books to me, so I did get to see all of them. And she was using this little bird, the idea of the bird in the garden and the birdhouse and those kinds of things. So I guess I'm going to wrap it up, and then we'll go back to our group conversation. And I put both of mine on here. I was beginning to do a project of looking through my grandmother's old photo albums, and I was scanning them and making new prints of them, and thinking a lot about the fact that she had lived through the first pandemic, and my grandfather nearly died, and she took care of him, and he lived, and all these stories I'd heard about that. So all that was relevant to us. And then I found this little haiku, just kind of by chance, that said, "Now I see her face, the old woman, abandoned the moon, her only companion." It was by Basho, an old Chinese haiku. And so I just used a little stamp. I had a little, what do you call those little hole punch things, of a circle. I made had a piece of botanical print paper, so that I think the moon shows up in every one of mine, but I did something different for each one, and a different old woman, or I think they all had old women. I'm not sure now that I can't remember, but I think so. So they were just different techniques of collage, and then I did a drawing, and I think there was even a pop-up. I think there was a little photographic figure in one of them in an envelope. Somebody else in my group can probably tell me. So yeah, that's what was mine. So I'm going to go ahead and say thank you, everyone. But we will come back together right now. We can all confab together. Does anybody have any questions or comments for group 6?
Debbie Greenwood said she loves all of your images, Becky, and what a talented group this is. I think Nancy, that she's talking to everybody. So, and Jade, great picture of your grandmother. They had the same reaction to that pandemic as we are having now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think so.
And Jan Ward, thanks. A lot of people thanking us.
Although I have to say, it was a really particular time when we started this project, when we thought people really were genuinely staying home, and we still are pretty much. But I mean, with any luck and optimism, maybe by next spring we'll be sprung. And maybe, I know, we're a little doubtful, but yeah, but we're all learning how to go on with our lives, and my life has filled up. Those first 2 weeks of sheltering in place were like, oh yay, look at all the time I have. That got old. And you know, things started coming back in, projects, deadlines, you know. It feels to me like almost back to real life. Not quite, because we don't go out much, but except to the grocery store. Anyway, so it is an idea of finding time. So it might you know, some of the parameters of a project like this might have to change. It might have to be smaller. It could even be a group of artists that in the group that you just reach out to, you know, individually and say, would you like to do a little exchange or collaborative roundabout thing again? You could have a different, obviously you could have a different theme, or, you know, maybe it's all pop-up books, or I like the idea of poetry in pockets. I love that. So good idea, Anne.
Can I interject something really quickly?
Sure, of course.
Most of you, I don't think were around when I said this before, so I'll repeat it. But I'm a member of San Diego Book Arts as well as Puget Sound Book Arts. And when I started doing this project with all of you, I mentioned it to a friend of mine in San Diego Book Arts who tends to coordinate our group projects. And so we decided that we'd like to do it as well. And what ended up happening was we've been doing monthly Zoom meetings, and some members of Bay Area Book Arts attend those meetings. And so it ended up becoming a group project between 3 book arts groups. So Bay Area Book Arts, San Diego Book Arts, and Paperworks, I think they're in Arizona. The 3 of us got together and are doing a round robin book exchange. Ours is a little more loosey-goosey, which is it has its issues with size and cost of postage, which it was nice that you kept ours very, you know, cut and dried. This is the size, these are the envelopes, this is how much it costs. But it's a lot of fun. And so we're doing this exchange right now. It's taking a little longer. We're giving ourselves a little more time between exchanges. But I just wanted to let you know that it's grown and become this larger thing, and it's really amazing. It's great.
Yeah, lots of things. Yeah. Thank you. That's good to know. I think lots of things are doable with a little imagination and then some logistics. Yeah, Dorothy, and I have to say thank you, Dorothy, because Dorothy is the best person to collaborate with, because she brings up things that, you know, that you just don't think of. And it's like, no, let's keep it simple. Let's make sure they fit. No, keep it. Everybody's got to do the same size. And you know, and yeah, things like that. It's like, okay. Then I kept saying, well, what about, you know, giving people a little more creative choice? I think you all came up with a lot of creative choice. So that was not a worry. And yeah, Jan.
I was going to add to Gina's comment. My sister is down in the Bay Area, and she was evacuated because of the fires there in Boulder Creek and in that area. And she was most upset because she wasn't sure how she was going to manage to do her book for this exchange. And so all the people down there came to her defense and brought her pencils and pens and artwork materials so she could finish her book. And off it went. They were going to deliver it to the next person. And so those fires really impacted a lot of people down there. And not everybody lost a home, but her granddaughter did. So,
oh no.
Yeah, so we're kind of sad about that. But the book went on.
I was going to say that it struck me from what Gina said that we were in kind of like these little silos before all of this started to happen. I think we were each in our own little individual area, and we would come to meetings every now and then, or go to, you know, an exhibition or take a workshop, but we weren't connecting individually as much as we are now. And I think that's one of the wonderful things that's happened as a result of all this. And this has been a big part of that. So, good.
Great. Yeah,
keep doing
it worked. I think it worked pretty well, and I'm so glad we could do it. Yeah. And I do feel like I've gotten a little bit acquainted with each of you, and especially today, and receiving emails and images from you, and then seeing your faces here. I mean, look at how many times we come to a meeting and we might have a name tag on, but we don't get around to everybody, and it's just great.
And we don't have masks on.
And we don't have masks on. Good point. Yeah, good point. I think maybe we do need a PSBA mask. We might have to work on a design for that. And we'll be wearing them for a while, ladies and gentlemen. Do we have our gentleman with us still?
I think
Looks like they
Salon is
did.
on.
Yeah. We went to dinner.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, well, we should probably go to dinner too, but
Thank you, everyone,
Thank
for
you.
participating.
thank you. It was so
Wonderful.
lovely.